Hey, what's up, listeners? This is Lex from Quotables here with a brand new episode after a 2-week hiatus. Again, I am joined with my co-host, Ernie. What's up, Erns?
What's up, man? Thank you for that lovely introduction. So tell them why we were on that hiatus.
Well, I was on vacay. I was in Disney World in Florida, and I also went to Universal Studios out there.
Dude, that's awesome. I know we were talking about this prior to the episode or the podcast starting, but dude, how different is it out there, like from the Disneyland we have here?
That shit different. So, no, it's super different. I mean, you got 4 different parks to explore. They're all pretty filled up with rides. Well, some of them, they're not all filled up with rides, I would say, but they have a pretty good amount of rides and super cool. Like a lot of the rides are just really cool, like a lot cooler than what we have. But like from what I heard people say, ours is more magical. Here in California is where we are recording.
Is the rides the reason that they're better? Is it because like they're like newer, or because like,
there's new ones? But yeah, I guess you could say that.
But
I mean, they also have
a
lot more land over there.
Oh, okay.
Like their land, like so they're constantly expanding, and they're always just building like really cool stuff. So. And they have a lot of interesting rides, like just like random. They have like an Aerosmith roller coaster in one of them. Like it's just super random.
Wait,
I don't
what?
know.
That's so random.
Yeah, I guess
what is it?
Aerosmith used to be in the original Peter Pan movie. No, I'm kidding.
What's dude? I can't think of a song right now. Sweetie Ma.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. I couldn't think of it. I'm not a see, and this is sad to say. I'm sorry. Like I like Aerosmith.
Yeah,
but I'm not a fan of Aerosmith. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I feel you. No, I'm about the same. But I know their songs. They have some good ones.
They have some great songs. I'm not a fan.
But yeah, I mean, if you weren't listening, I name dropped the movie we were doing. A little Disney inspired. We are doing Peter Pan, 1953.
The
That's
cartoon
a long
classic.
Time. I think it's our first cartoon we're doing.
Is it?
It might be.
Yeah, I think you're right. Unless you count like that hentai we did on the other podcast. I'm just kidding. Dude, I was thinking about this because obviously we're doing Peter Pan, but like 1953, I thought it was like 1960. Really? I don't know why, but that's like way
7
old.
years off.
That's freaking crazy, bro.
And it's funny. Let me tell you, I tried to get on Peter Pan over there, and I actually got stopped. Well, I didn't get stopped. As soon as we got to the front of the line,
I'll tell them the story. I said
it broke down. Well, there was a family who were all trying to get on one of the ships, and if you haven't been on Peter Pan, they're really small. And it was 4 adults and 2 kids. And they're like, it's fine. You can go 4 people, but the kids need to go on your lap. So the last guy getting on wasn't able to get on time. So they had to stop the ride. Like, because if you've been on Peter Pan, it's constantly moving. You have to walk on while it's like moving. And a lady from the back came up. She's like, I heard something fall like in the back. I heard a really loud noise. Like for safety issues, obviously they had to shut it down. And we're like, my girlfriend and I were like, well, we want to make the fireworks, and this is like our last ride. So we just ditched it, which sucked. We were right there in the front. But luckily, like we weren't on the ride when it broke down because we would have missed the fireworks.
Yeah, that would have sucked. That would have sucked, dude. I had gone to Disneyland as well. Thank you for asking.
I wasn't going to.
Yeah. So I went last week on Friday, and I think that was the day you had come back, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, I was still out there.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Because you were texting me from the airport. So so when he was out there, I went to Disneyland as well, and I didn't get to go on the Peter Pan ride, and that's my favorite ride, dude. Like
it's always such a long wait,
dude. It's like
a 5-second ride.
So the one we're talking about is in California, and that ride, bro, is like in the center of hell, I guess, because wherever that ride is located, if you've been to California, it's where the sun just is like beating down on you for some reason, and there is no shade there. I don't know why. The ride is like the line always looks very short, but it's not. It takes forever, bro, and the ride's not even long.
Yeah, I was disappointed that they didn't have like a Snow White or a Pinocchio ride over there. But they did have a dwarf mine cart ride, which is pretty cool.
That's crazy. Okay.
But yeah, Peter Pan, 1953. What do you think about this movie?
All right, so getting into it. For me, dude, this movie has always been a classic. Like, obviously, it's like really old and we all enjoy it. But it's one of those movies that are like, you know how people, I hate saying this because, you know, it's like always said, but it's very near and dear to my heart. Like I've grown up watching this movie as a kid and then as an adult and stuff. And this is like the movie that I want to show like my daughter when she's born. You know what I mean? Like it's like, it's so
you
classic.
hate Indians.
Exactly.
No, I'm kidding.
So yeah, it's crazy. Is that like when I was a kid, like we didn't know this, bro. Like,
yeah,
and I'm glad you brought that up because like the what is it? Like
the disclaimer.
The disclaimer, it states like don't watch this movie for what it was, and like this is there's a lot of like mismanagement
Depictions of like,
I forget what
racial,
it says, but it's basically saying that it's a little racist, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, and like when that spawned, when I was watching the movie, I think you can agree as well. Is like I was like, damn, this was kind of a little racy. Like it's bad, dude.
And even and then I think we were saying before too, like it's a pretty dark little movie too. Peter Pan's a little sick boy, and
yeah, dude,
like,
he's
Tinkerbell's a little whore. I'm just kidding, that's not a little whore.
Yeah, no, she and him are quite the characters. Like they have their own set
banging.
of they have their own set of like obviously faults in the story, and you kind of, but I guess that's what the story's about. But I did want to get into this before we moved on about the racist thing. Like I know that ignorance is basically the cause of like this whole that the way they depict these people. Obviously Native Americans don't all look like that, or they aren't like that. But do you believe that the reason that they kind of did that was because that's all they knew? This is like in their mind, this is how they perceived Indians at that time. Like they didn't know much about them because of the ignorance, right? They didn't
exactly. Yeah,
they didn't study them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was the white folk, and that was it.
Exactly. Yeah. So there was like a certain time in cinema, there was like depictions of races in a certain way because that's how they perceived them at that time.
Yeah.
And they're obviously no one's like that. But I mean, I'm not giving them an excuse that this is like terrible.
No, you're just stating
so
what you believe, why.
But yeah.
But I mean, but then when you think about the history of Walt Disney, wasn't he kind of a racist dude?
I think he just he
didn't like the Jewish people.
He didn't like Jewish people, is what I've heard, but I don't know. I've never got into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. He makes fun rides. Just kidding. But I mean, that's like every Disney movie, man. If you look at them now, they're all like the way they depicted like cultures. It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
like the crows and like Dumbo.
Oh, that's
guys.
Right. Yeah.
Even though they're sweet, but
yeah. Like because we didn't think about it through the lens of what we used to.
Yeah, when we were kids,
because we didn't know. Like when you're a kid, I think you're not really like. I don't think any kid is born racist. You know what I mean? We don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you learn.
We learn it
from other things. But it's a little dark, deep path we went down there. But
a little dark. But then let's talk about Peter himself.
Tell me about him. I know you had a little bit.
He's a jerk. He's a little dick. But like you were talking about it earlier, you mentioned like he's a kid too, right? But he doesn't. But he's also like kind of. There's like hints that he's killed people. He's fed Captain Hook's hand to to an alligator, and he wants to feed him again. Like it's just kind of like
they make it seem very they make it seem very whimsical, but it's pretty dark. Like
it's a dark little story.
I think you were stating this prior to this. You said that he's a little murderer. Like he's a killer, dude. He's killed pirates. Like that's it. Without you know what I mean. Without you seeing it, like he's done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's done some crazy stuff for sure,
and he's all happy about it. Like he's
die.
He's all here we go stabbing.
For real. Let's talk about the Darling family though. They're a sweet little family, wholesome family. The kids they're the innocent ones in the story. With Michael and John, who are kind of turned like more to Peter's ways, but Wendy's like the voice of reason, right?
Well, she's the oldest one, right? So she kind of is taking it upon herself to be like the mother figure of
these kids,
the group,
and like
right?
as you see, you got the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Darling, which I love. Mr. Darling, he's a sweet ass. It's the same guy who plays Captain Hook's voice.
That's right, yeah. Dude, he's a sweet character. Dude.
He is a sweet guy.
Dude, my favorite, dude.
I know. Then
the dog, bro.
You got the narrator. He's like talking about everybody, and you also see like she's feeding them this like tonic, right? Like to go, and I guess like back in the day, it was normal to give kids like a morphine to go to sleep.
Yeah,
I guess that's what it was, and maybe this is like a whole morphine-induced dream that they're going through.
That's right, dude. That's crazy.
Who knows?
It's a hay dream. It's a fever dream.
But even Nana's she's feeding it to them. That all Nana the nursemaid keep the whole affair to herself. Like she's just. I love Nana. She's one of my favorite.
Nana. That's my favorite one, dude. Well, she's a Saint Bernard, right?
Yeah. She's a nursing dog.
She's freaking sweet. I'm so sad that like later on in the other movies, like Hook and all that, not Hook. I forget what other movie. They don't make her a dog anymore. It's like it's a real person. And I don't like that.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, originally in this movie, Nana was supposed to go with them.
Oh, really?
What I read, yeah, she was supposed to join them. But I love her. I just love her. She's always when she waves, is like super cute.
I want to hug the dog,
Mr. Darling, like when he falls.
That's right.
And that is one of my favorite scenes, like because he falls over and then he goes and he's like, all that the family are like, oh, and he kind of gets a little smile on his face, like, oh, like they care about me. And
like
they
they care about me.
poor Nana. He's all, poor Nana. This is the last straw. That guy's sweet. But yeah, and then there's this whole drama of like they wanted Wendy to have her own room because she's been telling stories about Peter Pan, and Mr. Darling doesn't like this because well, the mom believes something. She's like the spirit. He's like the spirit for kids or something like that. The narrator mentions in the beginning, but Mr. Darling is like super against him. Like he's just weird about it. Like he's a real guy, but he kind of is. So anyway, he's pretty sweet. So they're off to a little dinner party, and like before this, they tell Wendy like I said, like she's gonna have her own room. She has to grow up basically, and she's like sad that she has to grow up, and like it's funny like thinking about like a lot of kids like back in the day like. They wanted to grow up.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
But now being an adult, I want to go back to being young.
I know, right? Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, like all my like classmates would always be like, "Oh, when I get older, I'm gonna be able to do this," and I'm like, "Dude, I love being a kid. Like this is fun."
But the thing that tripped me out too is like he said you're gonna have your own room now, and they're like, "What?" But like when you're siblings, that's not how it is, bro. You want your own room.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
it sucks to not have your own room, dude.
Exactly. I shared a room.
I still don't have my own room. I was
I shared a room with my brother for a long time.
Same, bro, dude. Yeah. Oh God, and your brother? I was kidding.
Yeah, so it was interesting. It's just an interesting take on, but I mean, they're like a wholesome family. So
yeah,
I guess
I like
some families are like that way.
I like the dynamic that they have between each other, like the characters themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have like the adults, and then you have the kids, and the way they kind of like obviously like I said, they're kind of playing off each other, and then the dog is just like adds more to that like little characters. Like I would have loved to see a little bit more of the family dynamic with them in the cartoon, but obviously we kind of just like when the movie starts, it just kind of gets going.
But it's so short. Dude.
Yeah, it's
like
short,
super quick movie.
Like it's crazy rewatching
like the ride,
bro. I know it's like crazy rewatching these movies again. Because I remember as a kid, they were long to me.
Yeah.
But now they're like super short. And then like the new movies are even longer.
Of course, yeah.
And it's nuts.
The live action.
The amount of storytelling that they would put in such a little amount of time. But I guess this is like a Hollywood thing. Like they would cut and edit like really badly. So I'm sure there's a lot of other unused footage for this movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's just like way too short.
Well, I think they had a bunch of different endings. Like there's supposed to be a darker ending, I think too.
I remember hearing that, but I never looked into it. I just kind of know about it.
Yeah. So we finally get our intro to Peter Pan because Wendy was so sure he was gonna come because she took his shadow. No, she took Peter Pan's shadow away. And what I kind of took for that is like, it's kind of weird that I was like, does that mean virginity? I took his shadow. It's stuck with me now.
She took my shadow.
And I love when Mr. and Mr. Darling off to their little dinner party. And then the mom is like kind of concerned, like, you think they'll be okay? Like they're talking about Peter Pan. I love Mr. Darling. He goes, Peter Pan. Oh, goodness gracious. Wonderful shall we do? He's all, call the police. Like he just hates on this guy. But so they take off. But this is when we get Peter and Tinkerbell with their sweet little tune, looking for their shadow. You see Tinkerbell, she's like jealous of Wendy right off the bat. Like they make Tinkerbell like, I don't know. I think it's just kind of weird how they make her like immediately she's jealous. She's like hates her body because like you mentioned when she was looking
she stares at
in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Like she like, I don't know, like she does with her hands. Like is she like
I think
measuring herself?
Yeah, because she's like too curvy is what I think.
Is that what it is?
I think at that time it was like, I might be wrong, but I've seen like movies and shows where like, because I've never looked into this, but it always seems like women back in that day hated having a big butt or like having big breast or something.
It was unheard of.
It wasn't a thing that women wanted. So that's why well now it's like way different, right? But
of course.
Like fake butts and all that stuff. But it's crazy like to see that she does that because I don't remember seeing that when I was a kid.
What I remember her doing was dancing. But after
do you think they changed it?
I don't think so. I think I just didn't see it that way. Like, but the way like I thought she was doing like a ballerina thing at first, but then she like hears the shadow and like goes to go find it and gets trapped in that little drawer.
Like Wendy like kind of pushes her in,
on accident, and then like
and she gets all mad.
So Peter's trying to put his shadow back together with soap, like trying to stick it. And she's like, "No, I'll sew it." And she's like talking and talking and talking. And then Peter looks at her and goes, "Girls talk too much." And she's like, what? He's like, well, get on with it, girl.
That's funny.
And she's
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
he's like, what's your name? He's like, my name is Wendy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, Wendy's enough. Like, he's a little shit.
He's a little shit. Yeah, dude.
He's a what they call fuck boy. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Now, let me tell you something, dude. I
Tell
wanted
me.
to dress up like this fuckboy for Halloween once,
look.
but I never got it because I'm too shy about my thighs. I'm just kidding.
Peter Thighs.
Peter thighs. Thank you.
No, what did I say? What did I say? Peter Pan. No, what did I say earlier?
Pan.
Pan.
Because we were talking about the
Let's go
movie
see
Pan
Yeah.
with Hugh Jackman, I believe. And this guy goes, Pan?
Pedro Pan.
You mean Pan, dude?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, continue.
But yeah, I guess originally, like a little fact, Peter was supposed to be written as a heartless sociopath. Like that's how he was supposed to be depicted. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
which is still there.
Riyadh's there.
But I think he's probably a little. Like, I think he was supposed to be even more hardcore than he is. And
I
then,
think
like,
he probably would. People wouldn't have liked it as much.
No,
Like,
yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
this movie is one of those like I said, near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. And this is like, I think if they would have changed it, it's kind of like the Buzz Lightyear and Woody or Woody. Remember, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Pixar's interpretation of Woody was he was a lot darker and evil. He was going to be basically the guy that wasn't redeemable as a character. And
I
so
see,
maybe
I
they
see.
saw that and they're like, no, this is like a little too harsh for kids.
yeah, that's true.
Because this is like a movie for kids, but like it has
I
so
mean,
many.
Disney movies that have those dark themes.
It has
for sure.
so many adult
Villains are always
themes.
dying
Yeah,
and like in
freaking
crazy
parents
ways.
are dying. Yeah,
This is like the only one that has parents. Yeah, so like and then they see Tinkerbell and all the kids wake up. Peter and John. Oh no, I'm sorry. John and Michael wake up, and they're like, I love little Michael. He's
Yeah, same,
such
he's
a cute little
cute,
kid.
he's
Like his little voice. Oh, hey Wendy. Like he's just a cute little kid.
kid is a
Boy.
He has
And
a little
then-
bear.
And then they see Tinkerbell and they're like, what did she say? And then, Peter's like, she says you're a big ugly girl. I was like, damn. I was like, that's messed up. So they ended up flying. Like, he wants to take him to Neverland so they
Yeah.
can never grow up.
So he has them
Because
think
he gets
of the
mad
best
as
thing.
she says that she has to grow up, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And
So she's trying to. So that's the thing. She's trying to escape, right? Like she's trying to escape that fact of like having, adult responsibilities. Because I guess when she grows up, she's gonna have to do more things that she doesn't want to do. I don't think they
kind of
tell
makes
you.
sense because she does a lot.
Yeah, she already does a lot. So she's
she
already
pretty much takes care of the boys.
Yeah, she's
it
already
seems
waiting
like. She
for it.
nurses them because they said the nursery.
Yeah, that's true, huh? I don't know. This is a trippy.
It's weird, but
It's weird. Yeah, too many adult themes.
Yeah,
for
but
this stuff.
Peter doesn't like it, so he's gonna take him with them to Neverland. He's like,
that's when
they
he
have
has
to think
them
of happy thoughts,
Happy thoughts, yeah.
and then the little pink pixie dust, and then you get the sweet little song. If you want to,
that song's
the
sweet.
song is weird.
Yeah, I like
Think
that.
of snow and think you can fly, you can fly,
He can fly. Yeah.
which is like a staple of a song.
Dude, that's such a dude. When you hear that, you know.
yeah,
it's
you know
Pan,
it's
what I
Pedro
mean?
Pan.
It's Pan, dude.
And then even Nana too, like she's tripping at it. She's
Yeah.
like, and then she starts flying and she does a little wave. She's like, I love her, dude. I love that dog. Oh, I forgot to mention too, man, when Mr. Darling takes Nana out and he's like, where's that rope? And she turns around, she has it in her mouth. He's like, oh, he's like, thank you, Nana. He's like, I'm sorry. Like,
I'm
she's such a
sorry.
good dog. He's such a good girl. And then another thing that's a staple, he's like, where's Neverland? I'll second star to the right and straight on till morning. It's like, that's always been the thing. Can I tell you a little story about this
Of
Peter
course,
Pan
please.
character? So I did a little research because I like to look into these movies on this database called IMBD. Let's get IMBD.
Now, is this a government funded?
So the actor, his name was Bobby Driscoll. He was 31 years old when he died. So this guy, he did this movie and he was like a boyish, like everyone, the people loved him. He was born to act. And I guess, like all Disney stars do, they get into drugs. So he got into drugs for a bit and then he's but then he stopped and he tried to get back into the game. But Disney kind of shunned him out because obviously, they at that time, we don't want to take this kid. He's he did drugs. It's a bad image, that's what it was. So he was hurt by the fact that the family that raised him is shunning him out. You know what I mean? So I guess randomly at one day, these two kids were playing and found a dead body, which was him. But back then they weren't able, DNA wise, they didn't know who he was. So they buried him in an unmarked grave for John Doe, they named it, because no one knew who he was. So a little while, it took a while for them to actually determine that was him. And no one knows how he died. I mean, I'm assuming drugs, or he just was homeless on the street and just died of natural causes. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god, that's crazy.
It's a weird little story, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I
I'm
remember,
like, damn, little Pedro Pan.
That's sad, bro.
It is pretty sad.
And like it's crazy that like they put him in an unmarked grave. Like I feel like they
Right?
would have just thrown the body somewhere, like without even
Exactly.
burying him.
Like who put him in the grave? These kids or like some random? I don't know. It's just weird.
That's a freaking crazy.
That's
That's
interesting.
sad.
But like,
He
and then
can
how like
fly,
later
he
like
can fly.
they finally go to this grave. Like, okay, we got to go check these graves to see if we can find out who these people are.
I wonder how they were able to figure out it was him. He's like, he had a little mark in his back, or you know what I mean? Like, he's like, he could fly.
He was able to fly.
That sucks.
That's
dude.
interesting,
That's a
right?
crazy. Yeah, it's a little sad story.
Another thing was another depiction. Like people depicted this movie as like Peter Pan was like a guiding light for kids to go to heaven.
Wow.
I know. There's a lot of dark things going on in this movie.
That's dark.
That's a little intense, right?
I've never heard that.
No,
I've never looked into the Peter
No, I'm just
Pan
kidding.
lore. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess
Or-
like the book is like, it's pretty dark.
wow. I've always heard about like I've
There was
always heard
also-
that there was a dark.
I don't
theme
know.
to it,
I
like-
read this too. We'll get into the Lost Boys, but I guess I read this too. Like it was a thing. I don't know if it's legit, but it was like a side story. Maybe I don't know. But like the Lost Boys were kids that lost like their mothers. Like they like like got separated from them.
Yeah.
And Peter Pan would capture them and take them in, like stole them basically, like from their families, like.
They were like Shanghaied. Is
Yeah,
what
exactly.
it's called, right?
Yeah. That's fucking weird. Anyway,
That's freaking nuts.
let's get happy because
I thought you were talking about Lost Boys with Keith Sutherland. When he's a vampire, dude.
Well, these are the Lost Boys.
And he's all, how's the maggots? I'm just kidding. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
But I mean, let's get into it a little better. Intro to one of the best Disney villains, I think. And it's Captain Hook and his trusty sidekick Shmi, which Ernie, you're the Shmi to my Hook.
That's true.
You know that, right?
Yeah,
I never shaved in this close before.
And let me tell you something, dude. I already have, his little sweet sandals. I already have those Birkenstocks.
You do.
I do have those.
Those
dude.
are sweet. But you got Hook. He's like, blast that Peter Pan. He's a classic Disney villain. I think he's considered one of those top like good villains, which is funny because like he's like on a lot of Disney villains. He's like a blundering idiot. Like he's kind of an idiot, but he's pretty evil though.
I think he's mad. Like not like in angry, but I think he's like a little
Crazy
screwed in the head.
Well, I mean,
because he's a villain, right? And like
they live in this small like little island. Like what else do you do? You
and he's trying to get out of there. That's the point of that's why he's trying to kill Peter Pan and do all that stuff. Because I think he's trying to get out of there, right? That's his whole thing.
A new start.
And then like basically wreak havoc on the next world or whatever. But he's like something's wrong with him. He's already he's far gone in his mind, and that's the whole.
And Shmi's his little homie.
Yeah, it's funny. I like that Shmi's there because he's got his back. He's all Captain.
And like all the shipmates don't like Shmi, but like he's the right hand man, and you can't really mess with him. So it's revealed that Peter chopped off Hook's hand and fed it to a crocodile, and then that's when we get the little crocodile intro. The tick tock tick dee 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 dee. And the little crocodile sweet. And I had mentioned it before. I asked you before. I was like, why does the crocodile not like anybody else to go eat? And you said because he's got a taste for this flesh already, and he wants that's what he wants
to finish him off.
But he got Hook. He goes,
and then Shmi freaking he goes off the the little the ship,
kind of goes
and he's
over
trying to kick him off.
Shame on you. He's all shame on you instead of the poor captain.
I love that dude in his little sandal, bro.
And then
God, that's
Hook
awesome.
is just like a coward when it comes to this crocodile.
Yeah,
he's like, is she gone, Shmi? And he's like,
What you need is a good shave, captain.
and it's one of my favorite scenes in this movie, the shaving scene.
He actually showed me this recently, and I forgot about it until we saw it.
It's
right?
like he's shaving him. He wraps his whole head around with a towel, and then a bird lands on his head, and then Smee ends up shaving the bird's butt.
Yeah,
and he goes. he likes, I don't know if you were able to hear that.
Yeah,
on the
the
mic.
cheeks.
I'm sure you could, but he sings the cheeks, and he's like, but then the bird flies off. And then he thinks he cut his head off, and he goes,
I shaved too close.
He's like, oh, I never shaved him this close before. He's like, oh. Shmi is he's
dude, he's a great character,
classic
bro.
character.
Yeah,
like he's not a villain in your eyes, but he says some dark stuff like later on, and I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, eventually he does. He gets a little bit like he becomes like you can tell why Hook is like he's Hook's right hand man.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's all pissed off, Hook, and then he's like, but then they end up seeing Peter Pan in the sky with all the the kids, and then He's all Shmee, call everyone. And he goes, he's all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Well, there's another scene too. I forgot to mention Hook. Showing how evil he is. One of his shipmates is up on top of a post singing a song, and he shoots him. He just shoots him down.
Yeah.
And that's like just out of nowhere.
Random.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like he's just annoyed of his song. Or
I want to say something because I like that they added that because so obviously there's a lot of renditions of like Hook, the movie, Pan, Peter Pan, all those stuff, and then there's a version where it's Robin Williams, right? Hook. And I've always loved that depiction of Hook because I felt like that was the closest to the cartoon, at least in my eyes, in my opinion.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out because there's a moment where he gets a guy who does something bad, and he goes, "We're gonna put him in the box." I forgot. I think it's called the boob box or something.
Oh yeah.
Remember? And he's all, "No, not the boob box."
They put like a bunch of insects or something like
they
that.
put, I think, scorpions. Thank you. I think he puts a scorpion or something.
It's
Not
pretty
that
dark.
boo. But that scene that you just said.
Reminds
I feel
you
like
of
that reminds me of that because that's Hook. He's an evil guy.
Yeah, he's super
and he
evil.
doesn't care. Like, but I love the depiction between those two characters. Like, they do it really well. But we should definitely check that movie out together one of these days, dude. It's a solid one. Love Williams, dude.
You got it.
Thank you.
So we get the intro to the Lost. They start shooting at Wendy and Peter Pan and all the kids, and like they start flying away. And then this is when we get an intro to the Lost Boys because Tink flies ahead and orders them to shoot the Wendy bird. What a bitch. And then they shoot her down and like she lands and then like I love little Michael. He goes, "Are you hurteth, Wendy?" The way he says it is sweet. But yeah, and then Peter gets mad at Tinkerbell for giving that order, so he banishes her. And Wendy's still giving her a chance, right? She's like a nice girl, and she's like, "Oh, don't ban her for that. Don't ban her." And he's like, "Okay, maybe for a week." Like he changed his mind.
Yeah.
But Tinkerbell didn't hear that. She just bounced. But remember when he's asking, "Did you say to like hurt Wendy?" And like the way Tinkerbell's like giving her attitude is just like the way I'm like, damn, dude, this girl, she's feisty.
She's feisty, dude.
And then we get some more racist shit because
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of racist
John
stuff.
wants to go see the Indians.
Yeah,
and they call them the Indians. And they start singing their song, "Following the leader, wherever Mimi go, dee-dum, dee-doo, dee-doo." And they're like, "We're off to see fight the Indians." Like they're gonna like hunt these Indian people
they want to kill
down.
them.
They want to kill them.
Yeah.
And like Michael, is it Michael? Yeah, John. I'm sorry. John is the lead, the son, the kid. I don't know. I keep getting these names mixed up. But he's the leader, and he's like all proud. Like he's like, "We're gonna go kill some Indians." I'm a 9-year-old boy. I don't know how old he is. Like, I'm like, damn, bro.
Because in his head, I think it's a fantasy. I think he thinks it's like a dream.
Well, because and even remember he's like, "Oh, we want to go fight buccaneers and pirates and stuff." Like they think it'd be cool.
They think it's a
story.
Like,
They're part of the story.
Yeah. Let me say something real quick before I was saying I was going into the whole Native American thing and how people depicted that. Like, I think a lot of like old, like not comics, but there was like these little book strips that people used to read. I don't know if you remember. And like they always portrayed the cowboy American as the hero and the Native American was always like the evil. Yeah. And that goes with that. Like I think people were that's why those kids are probably like that because they probably read that stuff and that's why they're like, "I want to kill Indians." And
That's
they're like,
true.
they're like, "You don't know these people."
Because like I remember, there's always like when you're growing up, you play like cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians. You know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting because like at that point we were like, we were always thinking the Indians were like the bad guys. Exactly.
But it's because it was
the Cowboys.
But it was the Cowboys. But yeah, that's the way we
Cowboys
perceived it.
Yeah.
Ignorance, I guess.
So then the Lost Boys end up getting captured by the Indians. Even the poor little stuffed bear is getting dragged.
I don't like that, dude.
But the way they make the Indians look too, just like they all have the same face.
Yeah, they all
like
have the same, very similar features.
Their eyes are like all covered by their hair. Like it's weird.
They make them look like the old like kind of like cartoons, like the basic.
Exactly.
Like, very
I like but I do like about that song. I like when they're walking and then you know how Michael has his little stuffed bear. That one big bear's about to swipe at him. And he sees a little bear. He's like, "Huh?" And he like gets super confused. I think that part's kind of cute. See, there's a little heart to the song.
Random,
you know what I mean?
A little heart right there.
But yeah, and then like the Indians want to burn these kids too. Like when they capture them because like Tiger Lily has been captured obviously by Hook.
And they think it's them.
They think it's them.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think so too. All this is happening while Peter takes Wendy to the Mermaid Lagoon, and who are in love with Peter and probably want to bang him, or maybe have, because like, did you miss us, Peter? Like the way they depict them too, and they hate on Wendy too. Like they're like trying to splash her and drown. They're like, we were just trying to drown her, and then Peter's like, see, Wendy, like they're just joking. Like he just laughs, ha. It's like, bro, like
It's so stupid.
That's not funny. He's like, you see, like it's just weird.
He's like, you were just gonna die.
You're just gonna die, bitch.
Dude, I didn't think about it so much. Like to watching this movie, I was like, damn, you're like we were saying, it's always dark.
No, it's like, it's a crazy ass movie.
It's freaking crazy. Like, and imagine showing your kid. I'm still gonna show my daughter this, but like probably not any like time soon. I'm gonna probably tell her like this is not how they depict people. Actually, like probably kind of guide her with it. Maybe she'll listen to the podcast first. I'm just kidding.
No, show that. Then we get Hook with Tiger Lily. They're trying to trick him, and I like Peter because he's like doing his voice like talking. He's like, man. He's like, but they have a sweet little showdown. The first little actual fight. And it's funny because like the captain, like I forgot what happened. I think he falls into the water, and then Peter's like, "What a pity, Mr. Shmee. It appears we have lost the poor captain." And then that's when they have like a sweet little sword fight, and they get down, bro. They're
like actually,
and little Shmee's little hype man. He's like, go. He's like, shh. And the crocodile's just waiting on cue. He's like, dee.
I think they've been battling it out for a really long time.
For sure.
Like I think Hook has,
it's like you said, it's the story.
Yeah,
they're constantly gonna have these adventures that are never gonna end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think if
he's the
I'm not
Batman
mistaken,
to his Joker.
Exactly. Hook has been there for a really long time, and so Peter Pan's always fighting him. I don't think it ever ends.
What if Peter Pan is Hook's son?
Nah, I don't think so. That's a good. That'd be kind of interesting, but I think like they play on him in other stories, but they make it seem like Peter Pan was a lost boy, like he was like nobody wanted him.
Yeah, exactly.
So he ended up growing up with nothing.
There's so many depictions of that, like that guy,
and so that's why he has those kids, and that's his family.
Yeah. Exactly. And then he doesn't want them to leave. Like, why you guys want to grow up anyway?
Exactly.
So Hook gets defeated and they take off. And then they show him with his splitting headache. And I love this scene too. Because like these, Shmee's trying to nurse him back down. He's like, "Guess that Peter Pan." And like, he's everyone's being all loud. He's like, "The poor captain's trying to sleep." And he's like hammering the door. And then he hits his head. Do you notice what the sign says, dude? It's all "Do not disturb." Like the way it says it is freaking sweet. And then he goes to the captain, and then he's smiling, but that's because he's out of whack. He's like, "Oh, Captain, it's so good to see you smiling again." He's like, "If it's between me and you," and he's filling up the hot water. He's like, "Tinkerbell's been banished," and they hatch this plan to turn Tinkerbell against Peter Pan. So we cut to the Indian ceremony, and this is when we get the racist Indian song. About why, because they say, "Why do you guys say how? And why is your skin all when the red man says how?" And it's like what I got from it is like they got it from when they saw a woman, they'd turn red.
Oh,
and they would call for them or something like that. Like I was like, it was a little strange.
I mean, the reason that that people were depicting them as Redskins was because they would be in the sun and their skin would be reddish, right? That was why they would call them that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But
why do they call them Indians?
I don't know. I thought I'm ignorant in this racist stuff, but I thought Indians were always Asian people that worked in engines in like engines for like
cars.
No, not cars. For trains.
Toyota. I'm just kidding. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always assumed, but I never looked into this. Like, there's a bunch of racist stuff that I learned the other day, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like, who the heck? Like,
they call me and you beaners because we like beans.
Because we like beans. Is that really?
I thought they'd call me frijoles.
I know, dude.
No, I don't know. I don't know why that came up.
There was one where it's like
probably though.
The like one that's like for us and because we're Mexican is like wetbag and and that one's because we cross the border in water or something. But I was like, this was not stupid.
The way these things are like taught, like it's just
stupid.
Weird.
But obviously it's to denounce someone's
exactly.
culture and that's just what it is. But
this is all.
We just taught a bunch of people racist stuff right now.
Exactly.
that they're gonna start using. But don't use that stuff.
But even the dancing is all like all crazy and
it's
Tiger Lily seducing Peter, like all weird and Wendy's all jealous. She's like, and this is when we cut to Hook. He's playing the sweet little piano. He's like trying to get Tinkerbell to get on his side. And this one, Shmi's like, he's all drunk. He's like, oh, Captain. I love little drunks in me, dude. It's pretty sweet. And then Hook is like, it's that windy. Like the way he says it, like, you know, she's like, yeah. He's like, do you want us to capture him? And then she's like, don't lay a finger on. Well, what she says to him is like, don't lay a finger on Peter. And he's like, Captain Hook promises not to lay a finger or a hook on Peter Pan. And he's like, yeah. So anyway, like Tinkerbell gives away the hideout. So all the Lost Boys are all together, and then the Wendy's telling John and Michael that there's time to go home in the morning. Like, we don't want to go. And she's like, what about Mom and blah, 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 and the kids. And it's weird because like Peter is like offering these kids for Wendy to be their mother, right? And then like to tell stories for them. And she's like, don't you guys have mothers? Like, no. And like that's when she sings that song about mothers. And I love this scene because all the pirates are up there crying, like, and then even Smee, he's like, ooh, like, and he looks at his tattoo and has the mother tattoo. It's so sweet. But like, it kind of just shows, like, kind of just feels like that, like the Lost Boys got kidnapped by Peter. You know what I mean? Like, and like how I was saying earlier about that thing. Yeah,
that theory.
It's just like, because they're all like, what? Like, they're and that little fat Lost Boys.
The one, the little brown, right?
Yeah, like it's sweet. So the pirates end up catching everybody. Well, before this, you know, because like all the Lost Boys, like, can we go back with you guys? And Wendy's like, oh, I'm sure Mother would be so happy. And like, I don't think
she wouldn't be happy. I would be pissed.
And Peter's like, once you're grown up, you can never come back. Like, he's all mad. He's all pissy, right? And then, so the pirates end up catching everyone except for Peter. And Shmi, like the Hook wants to leave like a bomb for him. Because per Tinkerbell's request, he's not going to touch her, but he's going to just blow her up. And this one, Shmi says some dark shit. He goes, he's like, wouldn't it be more humane to slit his throat? I'm all, damn, like, Shmi.
Yeah. Oh, and the way he says it all sweet.
Wouldn't it be more humane to slit his throat?
He's like, Shmi, I keep my word. Like, I'm a man of my word. I love this scene too, because like the back of the pirate ship, they're all singing a sweet little song about being the pirates. All the pirates, you know, and then all the kids, you know, they're getting influenced. They're like, oh yeah, and they're so easily like manipulated because they're kids, like, and
they're dumb.
You got Shmi's little dance, and Hook is telling them to like sign, like, oh, sign and you be a pirate, and that's when Wendy's like, no, you can't, and he's like, the pen or the plank. So Wendy's chosen to save the plank. But during this is happening, like they think Peter's going to die, but Tinkerbell manages to save him right on time. And so that's when, you know, Peter comes back to save Wendy right on time from walking the plank. And then they see Peter, and then Hook's like, how did that happen? And then Shmi's all, it's his blinking ghost. What's talking? I don't even know. The way he says it is sweet. So they have a final showdown. So they're all getting down, and I love it in the background because you see Shmi just packing his shit up, dog, and he's ready to go. He's like, screw this.
He's done, dude, because he knows that like it's over for them.
Bro. It's over. So he's leaving, and then like they're fighting and they're having a good battle. Everyone's doing their part, and Hook calls Peter a coward for flying around, and that's when Peter's like, nobody calls Pan a coward and lives. So that means he's killed people before. So like he's definitely killed some pirates probably. And remember when they're looking at the map, we were talking about this earlier, they say Mermaid's Lagoon, Cannibals Cove, and the Indian place. And you said they ever see the Cannibals Cove.
You never see the Cannibals Cove.
Maybe Peter killed everybody.
But he talks about it. I think he just like briefly
He kind of mentions it, right? Like he's like, what do you want to go see or something like that?
And then that's when he goes, cleave him like a brisket, right?
The little kid.
Cleave him like a brisket.
And even the kid wants people to die.
Dude, violence.
Very violent. And you know, he defeats Hook, and he's all, you wouldn't do old hooking now, would you, lad? As he pleads, he's like, he's all, say you're a codfish. He's like, I'm a codfish. He's all, louder. I'm a codfish. And everyone's like, Hook is a codfish. And I love it, this scene, because the alligator's in there dancing around. He's all, splash, splash. He's like slashing, He's ready for that codfish, bro. He's been looking for it for a while.
Shmi.
So that's when, you know, Hook ends up getting defeated, falls down, because he's about to get Peter. Like he thinks like, he was in a trick.
He's not paying attention, so he thinks.
But he steps away, and then he falls, and that's when he like runs inside the mouth of the crocodile, runs out, runs back in, all weird, and then he ends up taking off, and then he's all Smee, and then Smee's like on the boat. He's like,
he's rolling after him.
Gavin, they're running, and then that's the end of them. So the victory for the kids, and they end up flying the ship back to London because Peter finally accepts. Okay, yeah, you got to go home. I don't know how he came to that realization. Maybe he just realized you're in danger. Like you shouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
They take him back. And then as this is happening, Mr. and Mrs. Darling are back for the kids along with Sweet Nana. And then, Mr. Darling totally changed his mind. Like he's all, I don't know what they did at this party. Maybe he was a little tipsy. He's like, don't worry. No, I was too mean to Wendy. She can stay in the nursery still. And he's like, sorry, Nana. And she's all happy. She's like, like super cute.
Funny,
And then, but then, Wendy's like, I'm ready to grow up. She tells him and everything. And then Mr. Darling thinks they're on drugs because they see the cloud on the ship. But then he looks at it and he's like, and the thing he says, he goes, he's all, I swear, like I've seen that ship before, a very, very long time ago. He's probably been to Neverland. He probably had that too.
That's kind of why probably the mom is like all talking about it because she goes, remember the mom's like, oh, they're talking about Peter Pan and
yeah, exactly.
Neverland. They probably were the originals, like. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
They believe in it. Yeah, they definitely believed in it.
Like again, like I said, like before, like in the movie Hook, they play on that, right?
Yeah.
Wendy's older, and the daughter her granddaughter is the one that Peter Pan marries when he gets older.
Yeah, that's right.
And so maybe like that's kind of like that little
trying to go in that way a little
but
bit.
I'm not sure. I've never read the book. I know like you said, the book is a little different.
Yeah, of course.
So maybe they do tell you, but yeah, we don't know. I didn't watch it. I don't have time.
He's definitely gone. I mean, or he just knows it when maybe he was the young Hook because they have the same voice. Honestly, I don't know.
Dang.
Ding, 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 following the leader. Anyway, that's the movie. Super short, like an hour and 20 minutes, I think it was. What do you think? I mean, we talked about a little bit of what we thought about this movie in the beginning, but as far as rewatching it, what do you say?
This is a love it for me, dude. Like I know we have our little rating system, so it's a like it, love it, rewind it. I think it's with time it's been a little different, right? But I think for me this is a love it. I don't rewind it because I don't watch it very much. It is a good movie, and I enjoy it.
Like I said, I think our rewind it value has changed a little bit over the time. Because like you were saying, like you would show this to your kids, so I would consider maybe rewinding because you want to come back. You're gonna come back to this. It's one of those movies you come back to because it's like I have to show someone this.
Yeah,
movie.
that's true.
I think that's gonna change our like rewind it.
We'll talk about this eventually because now with the rewind it and love it and all that, it's different because now it's when movies are accessible to us, we are more inclined to watch. Correct. Yeah, So like, I know you can agree with that because like we did what was that movie we just did recently?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and that was on Amazon. Like if it wasn't there, we wouldn't have watched it. Really, we wouldn't have paid attention to it. It wouldn't have come on our minds. But with this
funny enough, it's like we probably have it on DVD somewhere.
Yeah, I know we have it somewhere. I have it somewhere. I know that, but I'm like, I'm not gonna go look for it.
Exactly. Who does that nowadays?
Yeah. So I think the accessibility. I want to eventually we'll add this that I want to talk to Lex about this, but I want to talk about accessibility as well because when we watch these movies and we do this podcast, we want you guys to kind of be like, you know what? I want to watch this movie. Where do I watch it? Disney Plus.
It's
there. You know what I mean? That's how we saw it.
It's probably on other platforms too, but I'm
sure you can buy it.
Yeah, of course. You
can.
You can buy anything.
Yeah. A lot of these movies were hard to find because Disney would lock them in the vault. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember the
vault. And now the vault is open.
I remember when they released their movies coming out of the vault in 20 years,
yeah, dude,
limited edition, director's cut.
I actually collected a few of those.
My brother did too.
Because I was at like me and my wife were like, we're gonna have a kid eventually.
Yeah.
We want them to watch it, but now we have Disney Plus. Dude,
exactly. Disney Plus.
Yeah, so it doesn't I don't know.
Yeah, but I have to agree with you on the love it. But like I said, a rewind it, things changing.
Yeah.
I'll show, I want to show, which is plenty of movies I would show like my kids or just anyone, like a friend or like, you have to see this. Like to recommend. Maybe we should change the rewind to recommend. That'd be kind of weird.
No, we'll talk about it because I know
that
with the podcast, like I said, we always change with everyone changes their mind, especially when they get older and they figure things out. Like with this podcast, it's growing.
I think just like let's just do it like Cold Stone. Like it, love it, gotta have it.
Gotta have this movie. Back for us.
I gotta have this.
Dude, imagine what would be awesome if we were like sponsored by Cold Stone. They're like, you know what, we
use it. Abuse it and choose it. I don't know. Some stupid shit like that.
It sounds like a great ice cream.
You
abuse it.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it.
Classic movie. First
Definitely
little cartoon we've done. Not first Disney, obviously, but yeah, hopefully we can cover more of these old school movies and get back because it was interesting to see how this movie is. You know what I mean? Like now that we're older. Yeah. We can understand it. I mean, it's not even what's going on now. It is, but like just any movie in general. When you watch a movie from old, and you're like, "Holy crap!" Like this is like happening. Like even if it wasn't racist, there were still dark themes in it. You know what I mean?
Definitely,
like
yeah.
it's just like the things you see, and all these Disney movies are super dark. Like Snow White, that movie's
Dumbo
dark. Like,
is really
Pinocchio, like, and they're intense. Like it's crazy that we used to watch these as kids, and it's crazy now because the ones now they're a little more lighthearted, but they still have those dark themes. Like,
but they're not as apparent as they were back in the day. Yeah.
I got back from my Disney trip and I was like, I have to watch Up. So I watched Up, and like spoiler alert, the villain, when he died, he like falls to his death, and it's like pretty intense for a kid to watch that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's pretty, but like they do it kind of so subtly, like the way like it's not like super bloody, I guess, and like I don't know.
It leaves it to the imagination.
Exactly, like because maybe he survived the fall, but doubt that. But a lot that's how a lot of these movies end, like as far as Disney villains go.
I was watching that movie the other day.
Up.
Just because of the
so
dog,
cute.
he goes, very much indeed.
That movie's sweet.
That's a good one.
We'll do that. We'll have to do that soon. What's your favorite scene from this movie?
Mine? Oh, dude.
Or quote?
Dude, that's interesting. That's a hard one. I love when he goes, here we go. Like, I love that. And this is interesting. This is the first movies of Quotables where I don't use these quotes. I really don't. Like that. I don't think I've ever.
That's true.
I don't think I've ever said, here we. I've said it probably.
Yeah.
Because, I love that ride a lot.
Well, I remember when I asked you how to get home when you're all second star to the right, straight on to the morning. I was kidding.
And keep going
I think
till
we're
morning.
just wasted. I was kidding.
But no, dude, like it. And then probably my favorite scene is it's probably the one you showed me.
The shaving scene.
That just it's ever since you showed me that scene again.
Yeah.
It's just been in my head, and it's the one where he's shaving. I think that's.
And my favorite line, I mean, just going into from that, he's like, I never shaved him this close before. Oh, Smee.
Yeah,
I think
everything
Shmi and
that Smee
Hook
does.
are just like the best part of this movie for sure.
Definitely.
Like, I wouldn't even consider Peter Pan the main character of this movie. I mean, he is, but I think
this is more about Hook.
Hook. Yeah, I think like and his like what he wants to do because if you think about it, I think they might have more screen time, but I mean, it's such a short movie, it's kind of hard to determine.
I think it's like I think if you see it through a different lens, the movie, it's kind of like Karate Kid. I don't know if you've ever seen Karate Kid. Like Danny LaRusso is the good guy for a lot of people, but if you see it through a different lens, the guy he fights, he's the good guy, right? That's how they kind of portray Cobra Kai and all that stuff.
Exactly,
like you see it in a different lens. What if like you see it through the lens of Hook and why he wants to destroy Peter because like he has him trapped there. He's just trying to leave and all that stuff. So you never know, but like
chopping off his limbs.
So yeah, I like that you said that about Smee. Like everything that they do is awesome. I love Nana and I love the alligator, dude. It's so
Nana.
sweet.
Oh, I mean, actually, I take that back now because like my other favorite scene, and actually, no, I won't. I'll different from you. You say you don't use quotes in this movie. I actually use that quote about the Nana thing. I always bring it up when they go. Poor Nana. I always bring that up. I totally forgot about that, and I'm glad you reminded me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Quotables cast.
But yeah, that would be something I'd use. But between those two, that quote and then that scene, those are like my favorite parts of this movie. I remember watching there was a second sequel to this movie that came out like in 2000. I remember watching it, but
it was not good.
I wouldn't. Yeah, of course.
I don't even remember.
Disney always had a weird thing with sequels. I remember that.
Yeah,
sequels are always bad.
The only great sequel that they ever made, and I don't even think it was a sequel. It was like a prequel sequel. It was the Lion King 1.5.
Oh, that was a sweet ass
great
movie.
Cartoon.
My brother and I used to watch that religiously.
But every other thing up until that, like Aladdin 2 or whatever.
Yeah, because they always made it like
they were not
Revenge,
good.
or I don't know. They always
and it's
made
not even
like,
the original people sometimes or whatever.
Weird. There's probably some other. I mean, if you're thinking more Disney now, I mean, they do like their superhero stuff, which have great sequels, but that's a totally different story. There was like a whole era of like Disney movies that had sequels that were just bad.
Yeah, it was like straight to DVD, like VHS.
From the vault.
Yeah, from the vault. I love the vault. I'm just kidding.
I know you do. Walt Disney. Well, that's our show. Yeah. Peter Pan, thank you for listening.
It's not like you were talking to Peter Pan right now.
I know, right? Thanks, Peter. He's like, hey, here we go. He just leaves. Oh, thanks, Peter.
I'll leave you with these closing thoughts.
Peter? What's up? Go ahead.
No, I just want to say thank you to the audience again for tuning in. Obviously, like we haven't been for 2 weeks. Hopefully, you guys are still kind of tuning in. We appreciate it. We love doing this. Like we have a good time, like watching. This isn't a job right now. We just kind of watch movies that we enjoy and we talk about them. It's easy.
And I think this was a little different episode.
Yeah, a little bit more discussion based. A little bit.
We're going to try to do more instead of a script. Let's just go off script. I mean, we have a script, but we'll go off script. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see.
And I think it's better. that
I don't read the script. The script reads me. Quotables.
Well, thanks for listening again. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can find us. Quotables Cast. Look for us. Give us a shout out. Something like that. We'll see you guys next time. Aaron, you got any closing words?
Just there's a song, I don't know.
Just think happy thoughts. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Here we go.